Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Oh my God, I am so excited. I'm squirming in my chair for today's interview. So, this interview is part of, for those of you who are not familiar, that I created a magazine called The Pleasure Alchemist. And this is about exploring, well, those two words really, kind of magic, creation, pleasure, play, eroticism in how we live our lives, in our relationships with each other, and particularly in how we approach the art of our life. I mean, life is art. We're all living artists of our lives, but particularly, yeah, thinking about how that applies to your own practice as well. So this interview is part of issue 3, which is all about kink and art and the creative process and how do they connect and what does that actually mean as far as how we create. If you're interested to know more about the Pleasure Alchemist, there will be links somewhere below or around this video. Go check it out and come and join us over there. So, I am really delighted to be speaking today with Sue Fox, okay, let's see what I can share about Sue to begin with before I hand you over. The first thing I will say is Sue is a dear, dear sister to me, a dear friend. She's somebody that every single time I'm around her, in her presence, the conversation is always inspiring. I would say you just ooze creativity and ideas. And oh God, that is just gorgeous. Um, Sue has been is an academic of I think 30 years and teaches photography, sorry, at the University of Manchester. So Sue is a photographer, she's an artist, writer, a performer, and I don't think there's any kind of end to what Sue is able to produce. I mean, you are absolutely the most prolific human being. And actually, a lot of what Sue creates, or maybe everything that Sue creates, is very much connected to who she is, the life she's experienced, kind of diving deep underneath the surface and going to those places that probably a lot of people are kind of scared to go, or maybe kind of quite transgressive places to go to, or what you think you shouldn't go to. And she doesn't just go there, she dives right into those places and makes you question lots of things and really puts it out there kind of in your face. And you were saying before that you describe yourself a bit as a kind of memoirist, in the sense of you've been creating since being very, very little. um, she's also the author of about 40 books. She's exhibited worldwide, again, in a great number of places, and has been involved in collaborating with all sorts of extraordinary projects. And that's probably just the tip of the iceberg. So I want to hand over now to my dear friend, Sue Fox. If you want to say a little bit more about yourself, my darling. Hello, welcome.
Hello, hello. What a beautiful, beautiful intro. That's so beautiful. I really appreciate you. Also, equally, another amazing creative soul as well, and a sister. And when we get together, we do have lots of incredible interaction and chats and inspire each other and occasionally go to gigs or spoken word and support each other. So thank you for inviting me. Yeah, I was going to say I am actually at Manchester Metropolitan Uni, but
Oh,
I did, yeah, just thought I'd, say that. But I mean, I was educated at Manchester University, so I did my degree there, which was like a combined degree in art, the performing arts and fine art as well. So it's a really lovely mixture. So I think my practice really is related to my research area is related to the body and the disappearing body arising and passing away. And that kind of goes hand in hand with my Buddhist kind of, education from the age of 19. I was a practitioner. I just preferred, rather than working, I just wanted to like hang out with all the Buddhists, meditate, go on solitary retreats and scare the shit out of myself and, you know, and, and grow up kind of like, doing art, hanging out with artists, and spent a fair bit of time on the dole in my 20s. And then I started to get my teeth into wanting to learn about things, and particularly wanting to see bodies, basically dead bodies. So
Okay.
in the early 90s, it took a while. I got into a mortuary and I spent 4 years documenting bodies in all stages of decomposition, including preterm babies and old grannies and alcoholics and you name it. It was like the whole universe was in that space. And I got to photograph it and write about it, and eventually did a book called Postmortem, which was quite an inspiring little book. It's impossible to get hold of. I have got a stash in my basement.
I think I have it on my shelf
It's
behind me.
worth a lot of
Is
money.
it? Well,
It's
that's good to
a
know.
lot
I
of
am not
money.
selling it though.
Is it? Did I sign it for you?
Possibly. I think it's for a
Yeah.
birth. I think
If
you
I
gave it to me a
haven't, I
birthday present
will.
a long time ago.
Uh,
So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, that's really lovely that you got it.
yeah. Why
Mm.
bodies, Sue? And like, why dead bodies? But why bodies? I love this.
So
That we're going straight in there.
yeah, I
I just
think
want to.
bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think bodies, because like that's all we have. That's all we are, really. That's all we imbibe from, all that energy. And I think, part of, being in the body sort of circle, I always had this feeling that I wanted to see something that I'd not seen before. Like I'd never witnessed a dead relative. So I was like, I want to see it. How can I see it? And that was the pull to look at it. But I'm this curious student of life. I always want to learn. So there was that aspect to me, but also the aspect of dwelling on impermanence to basically allay the ego and just, well, hopefully at some point get enlightened, not be clinging to the body as you age, knowing you're going to be out of there, your consciousness is going to be out. So I kind of wanted to just face my fears. I was terrified. And I went in and I learnt about the incredible inner body, holding uteruses and pulling out hearts and brains and like marveling at the structures and even like, looking at the kind of ways that things could go wrong. I was like, wow, it was like being, maybe a few hundred years ago when the anatomists, the doctors would hang out with the artists. I was back. I was like, yeah, I want to know, I want to learn, and me and the pathologist would be like looking into the cavity where the brain had been, and we'd be marveling at it and going, look at that structure there. Meanwhile, people in training or the Channel 4 crew who did Vile Bodies, they were like frightened and just going, we don't want to look at it. We don't want to look at it. But I'm fascinated by flesh and what happens to it, the actual decay, in a way, not in a macabre way, but there's an energy behind me learning about what the body can do and how it can go, how it can die.
Oh my goodness, that's yeah. Do you know what? That really touched me actually as you were speaking, because there's something. The word that
Mm,
comes to me is beauty. You know,
mm,
the profundity of beauty in the not beautiful. I'm very
yeah,
much on board and really curious about and diving a lot deeper in my own writing practice around this aspect of the not beautiful, because actually I think we can be very easily we easily can turn away from that. Like the immediate disgust kind of feeling arises, or I'm not meant to look at that, or
absolutely.
almost like we're kind of
Yeah.
fearful, kind of
Mm,
if I look at that, what am I going to see, or what's it going to reflect back to me? And actually, there is so much. I mean, this is like a really obvious thing, I think, but there is so much beauty in, like you say, decay, in the not
absolutely.
beautiful. I just think about like
Absolutely.
buildings falling down. Like I'm not good. I would rather go and spend time in places. My favorite places are places that have got that old, they've got that crumbling, they've got this sense of what was maybe once really polished and perfect and beautiful, kind of having had its time, but what's left is something deeper. That's something
Absolutely.
honest and real and true. No?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, every body, every being was beautiful, whatever state they were in, even if the smell was foul or organs were breaking down and disintegrating. I just had this beautiful empathic feeling. My heart was just always really an uplift. especially the fact that I had the opportunity to witness it all. I was always like really in gratitude to the person, but I was aware that just the body's just so dear. And if we could only like look at it, even if at school in schools they could take kids in to look at the body, the interior of the body, and see how it does like, fail. We'd probably appreciate it in ways we don't because we don't know it. We've never witnessed it. We've never seen it. To see smokers' lungs, to see all that garish, the liver like really fucked up. It stimulated me to just want to be healthy and look
Oh,
after my body.
really? I
Yeah,
was
absolutely.
wondering what the
Oh,
impact, like, not just the kind of
ab
fascination as an artist, but all,
absolutely. Yeah,
did it
made me
impact
really.
you?
Massively, massively. I mean, I would do quite a lot of chanting when I was there, and I'd go and have a kind of clear out bath, really clearing all the energy off and everything. But I'd write avidly about the experience of what it was like, of where I'd imagine the consciousness being, whether it's like trailed down into the drain or whether it was led up to the light or whether it was around, could I perceive it? Sometimes I was speaking to the being and just saying, I'm here to observe, I'm here to demystify and do research, like Gunther von Hagens of the body worlds, who I've met a few
Oh,
times.
have you met him? I was
Beautiful
going to
man.
say it reminds me of him. Because I think that was the
Oh,
only time I went, you walk around and you like that, aren't you? I remember touching my body going, oh, that's okay, that's there in that position. That's probably the closest
absolutely.
we get
Yeah.
to seeing
Yeah. I
seeing
mean,
ourselves.
yeah, when I went because I went to two shows and we spent time together, I remember just the kind of reverie that people had just looking at, like, the little tiny baby fetuses at certain stages of development.
Mm.
It was like you were in a church. You were just overawed at the beauty and the significance of the human body because we're so busy living in it, we forget about it really until we're old and we probably have time to think about it. But then we're
Well,
like,
or it's
look
annoying,
now.
or
Yeah.
stuff goes on the body and it's an inconvenience,
Mm.
So we'll pop pills. I mean, I'm totally guilty of that. I've got a headache, I'll go and take paracetamol, or I'll ignore this thing here. And there's it's really interesting, isn't it? Because I've often thought about this of the let's think about power. So much of what the last issue two is about was about kink. It was about power, kind of kink and power, and that being for me like it's just like we're in relationship all the time to every single thing, whether it's you, whether it's right now, whether it's this book, whether it's the air I can feel kind of on my legs, or my own thoughts, or whatever. We're always in relationship. um I've now completely forgotten my thread. This is menopause brain.
You were
Is
talking
that it? And
about kink and
power.
power.
Oh yeah, that's right. We kind of give away the power of our own bodies. We go to
Mm,
doctors and go, will you cure me? And I know that's not for everybody, and we're probably already, talking to each other, and we're kind of a bit converts in that way of like, we're into kind of alternative things, and we'll look at kind of maybe more
yeah,
natural ways and so on. Though I absolutely hold that alongside kind of conventional medicine as well. I think there's room for both, and I'm very grateful that there's conventional medicine. But I think a lot of people don't even have a sense of, well, I could have a relationship to my
yeah,
own body. I'm
yeah,
not talking about self-love relationship, because that's the kind of relationship that's bandied around, isn't it, in Cosmo or whatever. Have a nice hot bath and put on you some candles, and yeah, okay, that might be nice, but that's not necessary relationship with your body. Because I you teaching yoga, it used to
mm,
really kind of
mm,
bemused me how people would come and get connected to the body, but be like, oh, I feel worse, or I'm noticing this ache, or I'm a bit like, yeah, welcome home. It's not comfortable. Whoever said
yeah,
it's comfortable to be in the body is a lie, and I really hold that highly. Actually, the more we're home, the more it's really uncomfortable being a human being. But can we
absolutely. Yeah,
hold and bear that? That's
because
poetry for me. That's poetry in motion. Sorry. And for me, that's
absolutely, no,
beauty, isn't it? Where the
that
aches
is
are held, where the pain, where the tensions. It's like a it's like a symphony that our body is singing.
absolutely, yeah. I mean, because it is about being present, isn't it? When you're in your body, being as present as you can. And I've come into contact with a lot of people recently, especially like in intimate relationships, where the person doesn't feels disembodied and doesn't even feel like they're fully incarnated. So you can't actually feel the body. You feel like they're hovering, and you're like, hold on a minute. be in your body, be in your body now. So all the grounding practices,
Not
stamping your feet
grinding. I
on
thought
the
you were
earth,
saying all the grinding practices. I thought you
ground.
were going to say gets them into
Well,
the body.
grinding as well, because that gets you back in your body. But yeah, I mean, I I do like qigong. I teach it on a Sunday in the park in the
Yeah.
outdoors. And I get a lot of people who are like 80, 75 turning up. They whiz up on the bikes like witches. They're
Oh,
amazing. And then they practice, but that's a practice. It's Chinese health. It's 5,000 years old. You really do get into your body. You don't just work it, you feel the energy running through it. So it's like another layer, isn't it? We've got lots of energy layers, for our bodies. So yeah, I mean, it is, for me, about getting in the body. And then this idea of kink, I've never, even from being really young, I've never been into labels. So even
yeah,
things like, the father, uncle, I don't get it really.
yeah,
So this idea of kink, it's like for me, that's more like a kind of just expression of being an artist and just channeling your feelings and your creativity. So, but we were talking earlier, weren't we,
yeah.
about the dictionary and what it says about
Yeah, and
kink.
I love this. And I asked you to
It's so
read
amazing,
this
this. So
out about the definite. Where
so
did you get
get
this as
ready.
well? 'Cause I like it. It's
So
great.
I just went on, I Googled it and went into different dictionaries and the urban and thesaurus and everything, because I like to vary it. Me and you are lovers of words.
Oh God,
We eat
love it.
words for dinner.
Yeah,
If
so
we could go
true.
out with a man, it's got to be a wordsmith, hasn't it?
Yeah,
Way for the future. So here we are. So we've got kink, right? First of all, and I'm just thinking as well, don't, for me, don't pin yourself down to anything really, be this free, autonomous being. The dictionary says kink is to twist, to bend, wrinkle, knot, tangle, coil, corkscrew,
oh,
entangle, crimp, frizz. Sounds like the kind of play in FetLife, but anyway, let's go on. We
oh, I
won't
just
digress.
it's like a trip to the hairdressers, isn't
Ah,
it?
that's fine. Yeah, it's proper mad, isn't it? And it relates to a blatant flaw or quirk in someone's personality, an eccentricity, foibles. Is it foibles? Yeah.
Foibles.
Idiosyncrasies, whim, fetish, vagary, singularity, and crotchet. I don't know what the fuck that is, but anyway,
No,
like crochet, crotchet. I'll look that one up later.
yeah.
So, in the sense of a flaw, it is difficulty, defect,
Oh,
complication, tangle, knot, hitch, or imperfection. Really lovely
great.
that.
Oh,
So,
it's
Joel
beautiful.
Whitkin's bodies, are imperfect, but they're beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, the synonyms for kinky, this gets worse, guys. A perverted, warped, fucking deviant,
Deviant. Oh,
unnatural, degenerate, unsavory, unhealthy,
mm.
depraved, licentious, and pervert.
See, I've
What's
got
going on?
nothing wrong with any of those words other than unnatural.
Yeah,
That one
yeah, we
really stands
yeah.
out for me because I'm like, who says that's unnatural?
But who gives anyone the power to judge someone in that way and go, that's unsavory, that's nasty. I mean, this guy Kraft Ebing, who wrote the Psychopalia Sexualis centuries ago, said that there's no such thing as perversion and that everyth's permissible.
Oh, I
Anyway,
love that.
finally,
Oh,
isn't it lovely that finally the adjectives for kinky are weird, you're odd, you're
oh,
strange.
weird used to mean witch, didn't it? Weird
Yeah,
was like someone with a lot of
yeah,
power, interestingly.
yeah. Well, yeah, we like that, don't we? Odd, strange, bizarre, peculiar,
Nice.
eccentric, queer, unconventional, off the wall, outlandish, oddball, wacko, out there, and out outre. French outre, and
Puh,
like other,
other.
other. Then you're
Yeah,
going to be
so
pushed away and pushed into a box, can't
no
you?
other. But this is the thing with all of this, and this is why I bring like kink a lot into this. But part of it's because I really enjoy it, but part of it is also exactly what you're saying around the labels. Because actually, when you put it down on the table, everybody has some of these
Yeah,
aspects. If you find me somebody
absolutely.
who is, I don't, well, let's go with that, natural in how their behaviors are. I mean, what I wouldn't even say that's a robot because I've seen some of those videos of these robots, and they're kind of bonkers, half of them. So they've definitely got something a bit wrong with them going on.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem, though, isn't it? Is because of this fear around, well, if I show this aspect of my character, if I show
Hmm.
this unsavoriness, even that word unsavory, it's just the opposite of savory.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what, in a way? And the
Yeah,
word
yeah,
pervert, I love the word pervert. I wonder where that comes from. I need to kind of look at that. I think it's a beautiful.
yeah.
We're all. I've got actually made
Absolutely.
used to make badges, and I've got a badge that says we're all perverts on it because I think, quite
Yeah,
frankly,
yeah,
if we just own all of these things straight
yeah.
off, then
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's like, right, now I can just get on with the
Being a
I can just get on
pervert.
with living. Yeah, I can just get on with living. I can make my art and I can express myself and I can say what I want to say. Um, so I'm curious about, so that's brilliant. Thank you for reading all that. I
You're
think that's
welcome.
really great and
Yeah.
really like
Good, isn't
educational
it?
and interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering about how this connects to your art, because I would probably say maybe not the word kink, but certainly like it's quite subversive, your
Yeah.
work. It's definitely not normal, in that sense. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, very, well, like you say, very in your face, very, and those words, yeah, in your face, confrontational, as if there's something. It's kind of very punk
Mm,
actually as well. There's a punk
it,
energy, but I
it
think a lot of
is.
your youth, you've been very immersed in
Mm,
that kind of energy of that world, isn't it? And that strong kind
mm,
of uh,
mm.
standing out expression and that
I,
passion.
Yeah, I think I'm a naturally playful person who's still got a kid in her really. And I just want to find things out. And I want to find things out because I want to push, I want to engage. I mean, I engage in this sort of dance of eros and necros, you know.
Oh, necros, yes.
Yeah, instead of Thanatos, I'm
Yeah.
starting to use necros because
You
it
know what?
works better.
I
But
like that
you
because
can-
Thanatos just makes me think of Thanos and the Avengers. I'm a massive Marvel
yeah,
fan.
yeah. No, it's not.
So I
It's not.
keep, no, I know
Use
it's not
net.
the same, but yeah.
Yeah,
Necros,
so
thank you. I'm going to use that from now on.
this lovely sort of dance of those two. And usually, you go in one way, so you're going to Necros or you're going to Eros, really. And I kind of dance
Yeah.
in and out of them because I find them both really fascinating and
Yeah.
they're both part of life as well. And they're energizing and make me urgent to live in the moment. Like I just want to be here till I'm 100 or beyond because there's loads I want to learn and want to find out. So I'll just dive into things, that I come across. So I was reading a while back Rimbaud's scatological sonnets, which were all about him pooing and
Really?
shit. But
Oh, wow. Patti Smith loves his stuff, doesn't she? I
they're
remember.
so good. So
Oh, wow.
that made me think, right, I'm going to write something about that. So I started writing the scatological sons, which I've just got here.
Fabulous. It's really like
Um,
that.
ta-da!
Yeah.
So it's
Yay.
it's basically about shit, and it's about men, my relationships that I've had with men. Some are short, some are longer, and it's about the innards because that's all we are when you're in the mortuary. You're just all slough. Stomach contents, phlegm, blood. That's all we are. So I
Gases.
wanted to
Yeah.
write it, and it was kind of in homage to him because I really loved the work.
Mm.
And from that, I've just finished Scat Boys #2, which is a much more refined, beautiful versions of like, the guy that you fancied who was Jesus in the play, or the guy who was like when you were 10, your first teacher that you fancied because he had a bald head and blue eyes, and he spanked you over the arse because you broke a light in the classroom and it was really erotic, you know what I mean? He started to play with that, I still have to reenact that at some point. So
Wow.
I'm eternally dancing. I dance pretty much. I don't have lots of money. I do a bit of teaching, but I don't do it full time because I want my time. So essentially, I'm dancing in zero. I'm kind of clowny because I do clowning as well.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
I
yes.
like
Yes.
to just be free to play. I just feel like I'm just playing and I'm orchestrating everything that's coming into my life. The people that I write about, diary sort of events, or I literally naturally call people in and write about them. You know how it goes. We flow, don't we? They just
Oh, yeah.
like a play, they come, they do the thing, they go, and we're the one who's creating and writing about it.
Well,
So
that
I've
just
just
makes me think
what's
of
life.
the Lily Allen album. Have you heard it? West End Girls.
Yeah. Haven't,
Oh
no,
my
no,
God, because I've heard about it recently. I mean, this
no,
might be very
no, no.
dated by the time. I know it's only coming out
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah, I could have heard about it, but I have this part of me that if someone's going on about a movie or a film or a book, I just can't go there. It's not even like a conscious
Yeah,
thing. I
yeah.
just like, I'll just wait till all the
You don't,
crowd's
you
gone.
don't like be
Not
recommended.
interested, And then I don't know, for whatever reason, suddenly I'm like, right. And that suddenly was yesterday, which is a Sunday. Oh my God, all I did yesterday, pretty much all I did was listen to that album on repeat. I must have listened to it about 5 times yesterday. I
Wow.
was like, and then
Love
I
that.
ran to the lyrics because I was like, I have to, it's almost like it's like her diary of this, what's happened with this
Ah,
relationship with David Harbour. I get a bit invested in my celebrity thing sometimes, but about his
yeah.
cheating, even though they had an open relationship. But it's not even just, I mean, she really calls it. Like there's one song
Wow.
which is very catchy called Pussy Palace, which is basically, basically her calling out his apartment of like, oh, I thought it was a dojo. She's saying, dojo, dojo. It's a pussy palace. You're a sex addict, sex addict, and then opening this
Wow.
bag of butt plugs and lube and all these Trojans, and you're obviously broken. And this,
Oh
it's
my
all,
God.
I mean, because everyone knows it's about him as well. And wow, this album. And then
Wow.
she talks so much about her. So there's some of it which is very like, and angry, obviously, and like, what the fuck, and fuck you, and I tell everybody about this. And then there's also songs which are more about the impact on her and the pain of that and the self-reflection, and also her, her patterns, the people pleasing, you know, the things that we choose and say yes to, even though we don't want to. And say what you want about Lily Allen. I mean, I've always quite liked her. She's quite bolshy,
Yeah.
got that
Yeah.
British
Yeah.
kind of whatever. She's been messy, sure. But I was like, oh my God, I fucking love it. As an artist
Mm.
who has, and it was her therapist apparently that said to her, go and get all this out, put it in your
Yeah.
art.
Yeah. Yeah.
She
Yeah.
wrote the
Yeah.
album in 10 days.
That's it. You're channeling it. It should just flow out of you. And it's one of the easiest things when you're in that state, isn't it? Because you're
Oh my God.
unified with the feeling.
You're just
And
basically a
before you know
pen.
it, yeah,
You're an arm with a pen at that point.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
just, I always call it that like when I'm a secretary, I'm just taking notes for
yeah.
God at that particular moment. It's
Yeah,
true
it's
though, isn't it? When you get
transcendent.
that, I
Mm,
don't get it very often. When I do, I'm like, oh, thank you. Wow. I was bowing to
absolutely. Yeah.
So
I love that flow. I love that. It sounds really good. Because who is that artist who did Jagged Little Pill?
oh,
You know
Alanis
that
Morissette. She's a Buddhist now, isn't she? Or she's somebody who's doing all the trauma mindfulness stuff now. She goes
Oh,
around and
I don't know,
teaches it.
but it's that, where her first
Same.
album
Yeah.
came out when she was 16, that it was just the most
Yes.
phenomenal rage kind of channel. It was articulate, it was beautiful, it was sensual, it was like
Oh,
soft mouth. That's art. When you see art like that, that really you get it.
it's
There's
not even
nothing.
seeing it, is it? It's feeling it. So whether it's a picture, whether it's a book, whether it's music, you
Yeah,
feel it. Like
absolutely.
even you saying that and me remembering that album, which I also really loved as a
Oh
young
yeah.
woman. And I can feel it now. It like wakes something up. It wakes up this
Oh
animal
yeah.
that is just
Yeah.
like wants to do that and kind of go and growl
Yeah.
and like kind
It's
of walk on
freeing
all
us.
fours and go and lick someone's leg just because, or maybe that's just me, but it brings that like but it brings that to me is that part that's not, like I said before, is not nice, is not polite, is not like, uh
Well, we identify with each other because we're all beings that are connected by our fascia. We're all universal beings. So people tap in. Well, we tap in, don't we? And then we open the doorway or the lid, we take the lid off and everything starts flying out. And then we're inspired by seeing somebody else's journey and we want to talk about our journey. And that is the power of an artist, whatever field you're in. Let
oh,
that lid off and let that energy out and let that fire burn and never let it go out. And that is about being productive, about flowing, about keeping it going, which is what I do, working in uni. And with 18 to 21-year-olds, I'm talking about
oh,
ideas
they're great.
consistent.
Yeah,
And
kind
it's
of
so lovely
fresh,
because
isn't it? And hopeful.
yeah, we feed into one another, and
Yeah.
very often I give him amazing ideas, but suddenly I'll find one and they'll give me one, and I'll be like, oh, we're
Yeah.
like mirrors, we work together, and it is beautiful. So that's a kind of combustion. It's like you feel the fire, that energy really that just keeps going. So, it's finding that in your life. If you're not with that, find like minds and make things and do things and free up. to look at the sort of shadow aspects, like you were saying earlier. We need to like learn to integrate, like look at the shadow first, play with it, make it into something and integrate it. It's only by creating we integrate, our darker forces.
Absolutely. So it brings us to, kind of like this idea of what is, kind of kink in art, or that kind of transgressiveness in
Mm,
art, or the kind of taboo aspect of art, of what does that mean to you? Because I think, because there's also a line very clearly, and sometimes I have to ask myself this as well, of like, am I wanting to write this or do this or put this out there to shop? Because, and that's nothing wrong with that, but I think it's also knowing, is this what I want to make this piece of art? Is it just simply, a shock to shock people,
mm,
go, ooh, get a reaction? Okay, it's really
mm.
good to know that. Or is it coming from somewhere else in me that needs an out, like you need to vomit up this like long worm or something that is going
Ectoplasm.
to create like an exorcism? Well, Sue's book, The Exorcism of Sue Fox, which we can talk about shortly, but this idea of like kind of what is art that kind of crosses over a line. And like I was saying to you before, like one of my favorite artists, Francis Bacon. I mean, you can't be around that. I wouldn't like to have a Francis Bacon up in my, maybe in a
Oh,
closet
I
I could
would.
go in occasionally.
I
But if it's just like
would.
there on the living room wall, it would be quite like intense. There's so much contortion. You can feel
Oh,
that
I,
the pain of being
I
in that
would.
human body that we were talking about before. Um, I find that really extraordinary. Or like Robert Mapplethorpe when he
Mm,
started
mm,
photographing men, that was not really. I mean, obviously, the erotic has always been through art, especially the eros of men, whether it's statues, kind of David, or like kind of all, kind of photographs. But he brought it kind of very modern, of actually very blatantly kind of showing the kind of desire or the lust of these beautiful, beautiful men, and putting that kind of
mm. Gorgeous. Getting it
really
on.
out there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about, with art for me. There's no, I'm into kind of clearing my psyche. I dig in the dirt. I live in the subterranean. I live in a basement.
he
It's
literally,
been
Sue literally does live in a basement, don't you, darling? It's not talking metaphorical.
yeah, and it's cold and it's like a morgue as well, but there's something really snug about it being in a cave. So I'm eternally digging out my
Mm,
psyche. And whatever it is, even if it's absolute repulsion, I want to look at it and go, what the fuck is that about? And sometimes I make art out of it, sometimes it's seen, and sometimes it isn't. And
yeah,
I'm not about shocking for shock's sake. All I want to do is clear out all the darkness and all the macabre, and I want to be in touch with my light. But I spend a lot of time in the darkness. I spend a lot of time like a shadow worker, but really shadowing myself, like finding out what's going on in myself rather than anyone else and writing out my journey. And I think as an artist, a writer, we want to clear our journey out. We want to, clear our path to move on to sort of further paths, really. So
yeah.
kind of, how I see it. And there's nothing too weird or kinky or fucked up to write about. I'll write about all of it. In fact, sometimes I want to write about the most fucked up bit so that I can come back with this second book, writing about the refined stuff, the pure stuff, the
Like going to the
healing.
next door or something. It's like going to the doorway. I remember years ago reading the book Improv by, is it
Oh,
Chris Johnston or Keith Johnston? So I apologize if you happen to be listening, Chris or Keith, if I get your name wrong. But it was a pivotal kind of seminal book about improvisation. I think it came out in the 60s.
Ooh.
I think maybe it's still used today. It's a really cool book. And the thing that stays with me in that is him talking about people will come to improvisation and try to be really clever, but he said the
Mm.
only way it doesn't work, and he says every single time there seems to be, and we know this when we're teachers or when we're, yeah, kind of working with certain things. I remember I will get back to what he's saying. I used to do the source painting, I used to call it. People come around, never done it before, bit of music on, like we did a little kind of connecting in, and then it was just create whatever. And there'd always be this awkwardness for the first 20 minutes, people not sure, you could see doubt in, like kind of use that color. Maybe you've never done anything since school, maybe you're an artist, but then brings a whole other set of thing of got some crappy paints and then something would always, always happen around the 20 minutes mark. You could feel the energy in the room shift.
Mm.
And it was like, but you couldn't get there before going through all the uncertain bit to begin with. And he
Stimulation.
it feels like the ritual of, and it's the
Mm,
same with improv. He says that you have to go through like the fart jokes or the shit or the the kind of bathroom humor first. You can't try and be clever. That
yeah,
is
yeah,
almost like a part of the foundation. It's almost like you have to literally get it out, clear it out, like
yeah,
you're saying, in order to get to the gold. And I find that. I mean, it might not be if you are somebody who's improv person and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Fine, maybe that's not your journey. But he was talking about like pretty much most people, that's what he sees. Like you have to just give yourself
yeah,
full permission to
yeah,
to be in that kind of real like young humor,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is totally, you
Spot
don't
on.
think about trying to be clever. It's young humor.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, the body has an inherent knowledge, so it knows where it's safe. And if it's kind of a bit in survival or, it's feeling around, eventually the body knows before our own mind knows, doesn't it? So if you're in the body, you're going to feel what's right. And you'll drop into relaxation when you're with possibly like minds or good energy or you're feeling safe or
Safety
whatever.
about it all. Yeah, absolutely. So who
Mm.
are your
Mm.
favorite? Like, we're looking at these kind of artists that, like you say, go into their psyches, put stuff out there. Maybe it does seem a bit like, wow, they've really pushed that, or gosh, they're speaking
Mm.
things that, like you said, Rimbaud before's really inspired you. Like, who else?
Yeah.
Whether it's painters or writers or musicians or
Yeah, I mean, I love the work of Genet and I love the work of Bataille because they really push the boundaries of everything. And I've read a lot of their work, and it's just it's really deeply inspired me. Really,
who's
it's
the
kind of
first person?
Genet.
Oh, Jean Genet. Yes,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah, really. I mean, it's just you would love it. You need to dip into it. It's
I've heard his
some
name,
of
but
it.
I haven't
Oh
looked.
yeah, you need to have a look. Yeah, Our
Yes, I'm
Lady of the
writing it down.
Flowers. There's loads of really good books. I mean, a lot of it doesn't make sense. Like what one of the books, he's just sat basically just in a jail cell, like just talking about his fantasies and kind of masturbating and having fun. But the language is totally incredible. I mean, it blows my mind. I'm like, oh, I love that. I love that. I want that. I want to use that word. I mean, I never do, but you let it wash over you like a wave, and you come out with like this beautiful knowledge of the language, the language
It
of
comes back
love
to
and love.
beauty, but deeper than that, it comes back to the sacredness, isn't it? Like, right, you're right, what you were saying at the beginning, the sacredness of,
Absolutely.
you can talk about shit, or you can talk about, kind
Yeah.
of fantasies, or you can, and we're talking about kind of like the edges of places. And, you might be listening to this as you listening to this and be like recoiling and a bit like, oh, I don't like, what you're talking about, and all this, and have a physical reaction. And fair enough, absolutely. Um, but there's something about the fact that this is something that every single one of us, every single person does. But again, we won't go and kind of
Mm,
look at that and
yeah,
um,
I'm a looker. I want to look at everything. I want to
voyeur,
observe
a
everything
voyeur
with
of it all.
evil eyes, not evil eyes, but I'm really like looking in a way like some of the kids say I've got mortuary eyes because I just look right
Mortuary
into someone.
eyes. Oh my God, that's
Yeah,
great.
I look very, very deeply into a soul. I can read your soul, really. So,
Watch
watch
out.
out. It's probably, as you
Mortuary
get
eyes. I'm
older,
just on that one. I'm looking at Barry
yeah,
behind you and thinking he
yeah.
would be
Well,
doing an album called Mortuary Eyes with you as a
yeah,
collab.
yeah,
An
that's an
album
idea.
title.
Yeah, I mean, it's the fact that I have looked in bodies and right into them, pulled everything out of them until they're empty, shunyata, and I'm kind of aware of that, and I can handle that, and I can hold the space for that. But
Mm.
it's not a normal thing for people to do. But we
So
should
it's a
be
kinky
really,
thing in that context of what we were
well,
talking about in
yeah,
that
it
sense,
is.
in that
Yeah, and
kind of.
and quite an offensive thing to some people as well. I remember bringing photos into a photo lab, and the guys behind me just going, "Why are you photographing stuff like that?"
Oh, this was in the days before like digital cameras or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
or
yeah,
other.
yeah. Oh, well, actually, it
Or
was a print
boots.
studio where that happened, but I did get told off by Max Spielman saying I was really harming the staff, But, you'd have somebody stood behind you going, "Why are you doing that? Why are you photographing a flower?" I'm like, "Well, a flower is of no interest. I love it. I do photograph flowers, particularly wet flowers in June."
And
I
very,
don't know
that's
what
very
that's about.
particular.
That's
Yeah.
quite kinky, isn't it? So, but you'd get a lot of people really getting worked up about that, because they didn't have the understanding of what I was doing and why I was doing it. Even
I
the even
love
the
it.
pathologist didn't know what I
You know,
was going to be doing with the material.
it's interesting whether I wonder how much of things being kink or transgressive or all these kind of words is because there is that sense. I mean, it probably is, isn't it? It wouldn't be if there wasn't the censorship. It's making me think about. I mean, we both like Chat GPT. I think you probably use it in a well, we probably both use it in a different way. I'm having a break from it at the moment, but
Oh yeah.
I remember it kind of research and getting it to research stuff for me around this and around it was particularly Japanese and I need to kind of get through some of these authors too who also explored eroticism and names I've never ever heard of. And I was asking it to go kind of darker and more kind of depraved and finding stuff, and it won't do it. It has
Mm.
a
Because
censorship.
you might need to upgrade it because uni's going to pay for me to upgrade mine
Oh,
because I'm
uh,
really exploring stuff in a way that no one else
I don't
is.
know whether it will still or whether it has this like, oh, we can't do that because you're obviously not right in the head, so we can't actually like,
Well, I
you
mean,
know,
you really
playing
you
with
just
you.
need to dive into the dark web, don't you? Be with
I,
someone who knows
no,
how
no,
to.
everyone that you're listening, no one needs to dive into the dark web. Don't,
Yeah.
don't, don't go
No, no,
there.
no,
I've
no.
seen all the
But,
horror. So this is another thing that Sue
well,
and I have in
exactly.
common is we
You've.
both have an absolute appreciation for really kind
Oh,
of fucked up body horror.
I love it. I
I love
love.
it. I'm writing
Uh,
this series of stories that are all body horror, femgore. It's called. This is a whole thing this
Fantastic.
year, apparently.
Oh,
Um,
amazing. We need more, don't we? Like substance.
I mean,
You
this is
know?
it. That was like really popular for some reason. I also wonder, and gets a bit political in the sense of we're so anesthetized to horror
Mm, mm.
and to the kind of weird and to the things that you shouldn't see, whatever. You just have to scroll or you just go on the internet and you can always find stuff. Or the news, if you watch that bullshit, please don't watch news anymore, people that are listening. You don't need to, it's not real. You'll always find where the true news is in places. You'll always hear what's going on. That's what I think. I just find it really weird. I find it really weird. You can drive in a car with somebody. This is the case here in the UK, and like, every half an hour they have to give you the news headlines. Why? Why? No
I
one needs
know.
that all the time. So
Yeah.
when you don't listen to
Where's
it, you suddenly notice how
programming?
weird it is, how much it's there. But we're so anesthetized to being shocked or
And yet,
seeing.
and yet, and yet we love tales and we like to see films of people being ripped apart. And we see
We
things.
do. We do.
But we sometimes see sometimes you can see in a newspaper like
I know.
bodies
Or,
in war, and
yeah, I know. It's
graphic
horrific.
bodies like for
Yeah.
Gaza children,
No. Do
like with
you
their
know what?
head
I
cut off.
can't look. I can't look at that. I
Horrible,
can look at someone being,
horrible. Oh.
you know, chainsawed down from their genitals down to their head,
Ah,
looking at Terrifier, I think. That's
but
fine.
not reality. Yeah,
What's reality?
yeah.
Apparently, though, crime and all of that kind of stuff and thriller and serial killers is one of the highest, like, grossing, like, people has the highest number of people that view that kind of stuff. So there's definitely I don't know. For me, there's something about bring it all the way back to kind of kink and art. It's getting out, like what we're saying, anything that you see as wrong, because anything we try and hide and see as wrong, we don't have to show people, don't have to do anything with it. It creates shame. And shame
Mm.
is fucking kill it. It literally kills us. Shame kills
Oh
us. It
yeah,
kills our
oh yeah,
spirit. It
yeah.
kills our playfulness. It kills curiosity. Sue's mentioned so many
It,
times about the importance of curiosity, and it just
mm,
contracts us more and more and more. And the thing is, we don't realize how unoriginal we are. To be honest, we think, oh no,
mm,
I do this or I fantasize about that or I'm into that. If you kind of got like 500 people sat together really saying about all the stuff that all these weird parts of them or quirks or things they're into, you'll probably find after a while we're all very unoriginal. We probably all have
mm,
the same thing going on, just dressed up in a different way. And also, I feel like as long as we're not psychopaths, and you might be a psychopath watching, I don't know if so, hi, um, we probably know where there is a moral line. I think we can push stuff. I think you can. I'm really interested. Like there's the writer Tessa Moshfegh. I don't know if you've read any of her stuff.
no.
I adore her. And she wrote I think it was her last book that came out, Lapfona, and she made up a kind of a medieval fiefdom, I think it's called,
Mm.
and it's depraved. And I love her for that. She so goes there
Yeah.
anywhere. She wrote My Year of Rest and Relaxation, which you've ever read it,
Oh,
which really
yeah,
gets
I've
you.
actually got the book in my pile that you borrowed me and I've still not
Oh,
read it.
oh, okay. So it's
I've got it.
all these similar
Yeah.
female authors that push. And when I read Black Vona, for me, I was like, oh, I can go further. It's like you're saying, it gave me permission to go, she's really depraved. She's really going for it. She's getting it all out. So, okay.
That's good. That's good though, because that gives, when you see work like that, it gives you permission
Yeah,
to almost like that's catharsis for you to clear stuff out. And then, like you, because you're a real creator, you're inspired from it to do more because you know you can push it into your
that's
own
it. And
sort
we
of
need
like
that
brand.
sometimes.
You do.
And
Yeah.
I think we can tell as well when it's coming from a true place that she's, that's right. Now I remember I read this recently, or I heard an interview with her recently that I think this is right, that she has lots of disgust in her. Like she was talking about this, she has lots of disgust. So she wanted to write a really disgusting book to get the
Yeah.
disgust out. And I only heard this recently, and I read like Vona, I don't know if it's last year or the year before, and I was like, oh my God, that's like so much sense, and thank you. And she's great. She's
Mm.
a really, she's really intelligent.
Mm.
I find her really
E- e-
fascinating.
Everybody's almost like teaching everybody. It's like when I'm, teaching, like I've got 20 kids in a room, we're talking about photography. We're all brains interacting with one another, all our fascias like interconnected. And I always say to them, all these brains is better than just your own because your own has limits, but you have all these multifaceted areas, all these other personalities. So likewise, we still like learning, about Francis Bacon, or I'm reading Bataille, who's been dead a long time. But all around is just amazing inspirations, dead and alive,
Oh, it's
connect.
absolutely beautiful. And there's something about the mirroring. I think, you're talking about the kind of fascia, which I don't know. I know you're real kind of, you've really kind of gone deep, no pun intended, well, maybe, with all of that. But there is a sense, isn't it, when we see something, whether we're disgusted, whether we're repelled, whether we're drawn towards, there's something that's being mirrored back to us. And I do think that, whatever with this kind of art, whatever our reaction is to be curious about what is that reaction. Because if we're pulling away,
Absolutely.
are we scared of that in ourselves?
Mm,
Or are we feeling, embarrassed? Or just to be curious, I think is that word
mm.
curiosity. To live with curiosity is really, I don't know. I think it's really
Keeping the
beautiful.
child within you, isn't it? Keeping the child and the imaginative faculty going, really. If you allow that curiosity, to keep going. A good practice is just like probably what me and you do. We do journaling, don't we? We're always writing diaries, or first thing in the morning, just get a pad and scribble out some lines. It doesn't have to make sense. And then at the end of the week, look back at what's there and you start to get this magic from the unconscious that's just, you can start piecing it together and it unfolds into sort of possibly a story or poetry or just thinking. I mean, words are just locked in there. We just need to release them out this gate and just play with them, really, like this
Respond. It's
orchestra.
that thing of being in relationship, and particularly the things that, especially we're going into winter now. If you, those of you that are watching this, around the time this is dropped, there's something about that permission to go down the steps, to go off with Persephone, down and hang out with the king of the underworld. I mean, she liked it down there. Let's be honest. Um,
Yeah.
like to kind of give yourself permission. So, I think I want to share, and I'm going to ask you, Sue, as well. Um, so there's two things actually. We're going to end this with two things. But I wanted to share with you, those of you that are listening, that be really curious about those bits of you that maybe you nodded or you kind of thought about when Sue read out that list about what kink is. And maybe if there's any of those parts that you had a really strong reaction to be a little bit curious, just almost like you're putting it on the table and step back a bit. So you give yourself a little bit of space to look at that and go, why did I have such a, or why did this bit of me come up? Maybe just hold that a little bit, maybe journal a little bit about it, or maybe think, I can make a bit of art. I don't know how to see it. Maybe it's a bit of collaging, or get out some, crayons or whatever, or write a little poem about it. And So you just get to know parts of yourself that are, I always say we are these giant disco balls, with all these little mirrors on. And with so much of that, and we tend to just see the bits that sparkle and light shines on, but we're all of the bits, what the bits at the back, at the top, or that bit, over here. And this is just part of your disco ballness, basically. So that's what I would advise. So I have two questions for you. One is, what do you suggest for people? Do you have anything from all the kind of different ways that you work with your art and your writing and performance or photography that you could share, like any little tips or whatever for somebody who's going, I'd like
Yeah,
to be able to push my art a bit or push the way that I show up in the world and I don't quite know where to start.
what I would do, I'm sharing something with you at the moment, but I really love to go to hotel rooms with a bag of props, and I'll just spend all night there on my own, photographing myself, wearing different things, doing different, posing sometimes naked in different lighting, because you're in this lovely clinical minimal space. And you don't know what you're going to come up with. Sometimes it works. Generally, it works actually. You can use the bathroom, and you've just got this amazing studio. So for me, the world is my studio. So if photography is not your thing, you could always just go in that space with some materials, charcoal, whatever you're doing, and just it's your mystical space for you to create. And it's not about it being successful or perfect or the end product. It's the process of being with yourself, engaging with your feelings, raging if you want, raging into your paper, letting the feelings out, going back to being eight. I will say to my kids, just be eight again, free yourself of all this kind of programming and controlness, and just enter the kingdom of the child, really, and let that child teach you how it is to be free.
Love that. Oh my God. It's also
Got
making me
another
think
one.
of Miranda July's All Fours, which came out this summer. Don't know if you've read it. It's
No, I
phenomenal. But
haven't. No,
oh
no.
no, she basically spends a lot of the book in this hotel room, this motel room that she doesn't get any further than that, and
I love it.
hires a guy that she's being very well. There's a lot of erotic charge and being very close and intimate with his girlfriend,
Mm.
who's a visual interior designer, to just I think she throws like £20,000 at this woman to like redo this motel room that's not even hers. I mean, it's making me think of that something about that space. It also makes me think of Toni Morrison, who very famously she would go to hotel rooms to write. She would do that. That was part of her practice as well. So basically, if you can't find a hotel, if that's a bit like, well, that's easy for you to say, love, go to a hotel room, and even a travel lodge isn't terribly inspiring. But so
The
maybe it's about
key.
going to a different place, like
Yeah,
going
yeah,
to a
yeah,
different
absolutely.
venue, going to an
Yeah,
art gallery, going to a cafe
yeah,
space,
yeah,
going to a library, and going to the cafes are good, aren't they, for doing that as well? Getting out of it, it's
absolutely.
basically saying different surroundings.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the last question I want to ask you, if I ask everybody this, of where is somewhere you go to? What is a place that you like to go to in the world where that turns you on? What is a place, if you're taking yourself on an artist date, but instead of going to like somewhere that's about creativity, it's a place that makes you feel turned on?
I mean, I'm just weird, really. I mean, I just I really love churches. I love cemeteries, because they're full of wildness. They're so beautiful and so full of quietude. That's what I long for. And I just go. I dated a guy last year, and he lived in a cemetery, in the cemetery house. So I spent about a year going in and out of, the spaces, and I learned all the little pockets of the cemetery. Like there was loads of like old willow trees, and I would just go lie down in them, and I would record myself because I do a lot of work recording my voice, so that I'm speak my words, and then they're written out, through my dictaphone, and then I've got like work or a book or whatever. There's a kind of power to your, as we know, our voice, our throat chakra. That once that opens, they all open. So as a woman, well, as a man as well, we want to speak our voice and speak things into existence. So I'd literally be speaking as well as photographing because I'm good at multitasking, but it was a really beautiful, sensual place. I mean, I could have stripped off. There was no one around or anything,
Yeah.
and it was all kind of hidden, And why shouldn't we be able to just explore and express ourselves in the free way we were made as kids. We were just free. We had no inhibitions, and suddenly you're an adult and everything's kind of locked in. So I think my advice is to free the fuck up in whatever way that is, whether it's dancing, having a dance and writing something out or making something, but find a way to unlock and take that lid off and let all that incredible treasure out. You might find some weird bits of shit, but usually it's known in Buddhism as like getting hold of this weird little demon or odd little dark feeling, and you pin it down with the Vajra demon dagger. And basically, when you pin it down, it's not really what you think it is. You've made it into a monster.
This is
Just a beautiful
yeah,
aspect of you
that's
that's
it.
like locks in energy. So this allows you to free up all this caustic energy. Get that shame out because that's the lowest vibration to be at. I love shame. Shame's taught me so much. I found shame in my tailbone. I
Yeah.
found it all over the place. So play with it because it's gonna give you the most information about yourself.
So
Like
it
just face
becomes the
it.
material. You can use this as your creative material, whether you're an artist or not.
Absolutely. That's what
Um,
it is.
I
Yeah.
feel like I need to have you on again
Oh
because I
yeah.
feel like we've got way more. Oh my God.
I think me and you've got to make a horror movie because we're so into it. We've watched so much. We could write a script. I can
I'm
easily come up
down for
with
it.
a
Right, we're
movie.
doing it. We'll
Let's
talk
make
about
let's
this.
make a horror movie.
Love it.
Right, babe.
So, thank you so much. Thank you so
You're
much, Sue.
so
You are so
welcome.
full of life. And I think it's just really beautiful and inspiring, and you're an absolute sweetheart. So, just very quickly before we say goodbye, where
Mm.
can people know more about you or find any of your things and
So you
also
can,
all this information will either be below again, depending where it is, or if
yeah.
it'll be wherever this video is as well.
Yeah, I mean, these kind of luscious books that are just out in the last 2 years, you can find this on lulu.com and also my publisher who's Incunabula Media. So
Great. And
Incunabula, you
oh
can
yeah,
buy them
great.
there as well. And one of them, my really naughty one, which is about wanking and art, The Visceral Tear is actually on Amazon. So, you know,
Fantastic.
you could get hold of that. It's a nice tome, 9 inches times 6 inches. Very
Always a good good size.
porn star size. But and also obviously you could connect to me through the MMU portal, with my name, Sue Fox, at
Wonderful.
MMU, and my details. Yeah.
Wonderful. Are you on any other socials, darling, for people as well, if they wanted
I'm
to
on
see you?
Instagram, yes, Sue Fox 5501.
Brilliant.
I'm on Facebook as well. So
Great.
it's been
Wonderful.
common a conversation because everything's about a conversation.
And I will say as well that, if you're curious, really lean in. Like Sue loves a good chat with
Mm.
people. And if you want to know more about this or more about Sue's work, or if you want to like collaborate with her or whatever it might be, then, you know, do get in contact. Thank you so much. It's
Thank
been
you,
an
darling.
absolute,
I've
I loved it.
loved
And I think we
it.
do need to have
Like a
another
minute. It's
bloody
like a
brilliant.
minute.
Thank you for watching, listening. I hope it was inspiring. Let me know. Yeah. Write to me, comment under this where you see this. What have been like your takeaways? Or if you have any questions for either of us, then please ask them as well. And do come over and join the Pleasure Alchemist magazine. It's literally only £8 a month, or there's other ways that you can join as well. And there's lots of things like this. This is in part one of the issue. In part two, there's going to be a lot more creative practices that you can go out and explore in your own life, whether that's with your creative work, whether that's your relationships, or whether it's just how you are moving through life itself. So there's a lot of really gorgeous stuff in the Pleasure Alchemist magazine. So once again, thank you, Sue, and
Thank you,
bye,
darling. Thanks
everybody.
for Bye.